Noam Chomsky is not just one of the world's most famous academics, he's also one of the world's most famous supporters of the political left. Evan Davis talked to him about Donald Trump, populism in Europe, and Julian Assange.
What was the appeal of Trump? Why do so many people, particularly blue-collar, Rust Belt populations, why do they like him?
What is the alternative? The Democrats gave up on the working class 40 years ago. That's just the working class is not their constituency. No one is their. No one in the political system is. The Republicans claim to be, but they're basically their class enemy. However, they can appeal to people on the basis of claims about religion, white supremacy.
So you think there was quite a racist motivation?
There's no doubt about that. But
Are we talking 3% of the voters, 30%? Or
percent you can argue about.
Roughly.
It's a substantial streak. Fundamentalist religion is a substantial streak. Trump took an enormous quantity of the Christian fundamentalists, who are a big segment of the U.S. population. I remember in the United States, about maybe 40% of the population, I think the second coming is going to be in their lifetimes. Two-thirds think it's coming sooner or later. The United States is off the spectrum in this respect.
Do you think Trump will do much damage while he's there? And will it be permanent damage to the institutions of the US? Or do you think he'll be temporary phase?
The main damage he'll do is to the world, and it's already happening. The most significant aspect of the Trump election, and it's not just Trump, it's the whole Republican Party, is their departing from the rest of the world on climate change.
You've called the Republican Party the most dangerous organization on earth.
In human history. There has never, it's an outrageous statement, and when I said it, I said, look, this is a very outrageous statement, but is it true?
But you're rating them worse than the Kim Jong-un of North Korea or ISIS, who are very...
Is ISIS dedicated to trying to destroy the prospects for organized human existence?
Right, is that bad, the Republican
What
Party?
does it mean to say, not only we're not doing anything about climate change, but we're trying to accelerate the race to the precipice?
And you don't entertain the possibility that they may be genuine in their belief that this is...
Doesn't matter whether they genuinely believe it or not. But if the consequence of that is, let's use more fossil fuels, let's refuse to subsidize developing countries, if that's the consequence, that's extremely dangerous.
Macron won the French election, Emmanuel Macron, an internationalist, liberal, loves the EU, all the things, in a way, that the Trump voters have tried to reject. Do you think he can succeed? Is this the end of populism in Europe?
Oh, by no means. In fact, Macron is a good example of how the core institutions have collapsed. He came from the outside.
Yeah.
Okay. And the vote for him was substantially a vote against Le Pen, who is recognized correctly, I think, to be a serious danger.
What about the British election? Jeremy Corbyn has been leading the Labour Party. They have an uphill task, according to the opinion polls. Have you any advice, any thoughts about how Labour refines its pitch and makes it to government in the UK?
They should ask me to vote. I would vote for him. I mean, they have a problem. I think he's a very decent, good person. I've followed his career for some years. He's not, evidently not inspiring the population. How Labour could, Labour has not come out with its program, so we don't really know what it'll be.
But there's a sense of a lack of clarity about quite what he stands for.
That's right.
Which is odd, because he was someone who was more clear about what he stood for decades.
What's happened to the Labour Party over the last, through the neoliberal years, it became, as many call it, Thatcher Light, especially under Blair. It did not represent the working class.
I want to talk to you about Julian Assange. You've been a big supporter of Julian Assange and WikiLeaks. And many progressive people have looked at WikiLeaks and said this organisation is on the wrong side of history. I just wonder whether you still believe in Julian Assange, despite the fact that they've published emails of Hillary Clinton stolen.
I believe that that the persecution of him is completely wrong. The threats against him are completely wrong. They should be withdrawn. He should be freed. He shouldn't have to be imprisoned. I visit.
Judicial process, though, yeah? I mean, he needs to be questioned about the accusations.
Pretty much a fraud.
Is it?
I think so. There's no reason why Swedish prosecutors can't interrogate him on the charge that they think they have. In fact, they've already begun to do so. What's keeping him in prison, and
in an embassy,
is in prison,
is his desire to go in there.
Is the
no
threat,
one sent him there.
the threat that the United States will go after him. Same thing that's keeping Snowden in Russia.
And is he right to worry about that
Of
threat?
course he's right to worry about it. And it's the threat that's wrong. As to what WikiLeaks is deciding to release, you can have various opinions. By and large,
What's your opinion of leaking stolen emails, perfectly legitimate emails, just stolen and then put in the public domain?
If they'd asked me, I would have not been in favor of that. So I don't know how they decide what to leak and not, but leaking the general idea of informing the public, informing citizens of what their representatives are doing and keeping from them, that's a good idea.
Noam Chomsky, thank you very much indeed.